Lock the doors and grab your coffee, ladies, because the whispered rumors for the week of July 27th have just landed on my desk, and what they are allegedly doing to the canvas of Port Charles is downright criminal. Looking at the landscape of this upcoming week, it looks like we are staring down a highly dangerous and deadlocked board where every single character is trapped in a perilous stalemate. The overarching theme here is deception, with multiple players operating under deep cover, driven by a profound ulterior motive that threatens to destabilize the entire town. From the sudden corporate shakeups to the mysterious arrivals and the shocking physical altercations, nothing can be taken at face value. You have to wonder if the writers are setting up a massive domino effect where one fallen secret will trigger a catastrophic chain reaction. If you ask me, the residents of Port Charles are currently walking blindly into a labyrinth of psychological warfare, and the stakes have never been higher. The tension is palpable, and the upcoming maneuver suggests that the ultimate price for these hidden agendas will be paid in shattered trust and irrevocable damage to long-standing alliances. Let us start by examining the highly suspicious arrival of Hudson. On the surface, it looks like he is just a mysterious executive relentlessly hunting down Ethan. But ladies, if you ask me, that narrative is far too simplistic for a soap opera of this caliber. I strongly suspect that Hudson could not care less about Ethan as an individual. Instead, this implies that Hudson is actually hunting for someone far more dangerous, a figure deeply tied to the dark, historical past of the intelligence community. Ethan simply had the profound misfortune of getting caught in the crossfire because he unknowingly possesses a highly crucial DNA sample. This genetic material is likely the definitive proof needed to expose the true identity of a long-hidden villain who has been hiding in plain sight for years. Ethan is merely a pawn, a temporary obstacle in Hudson's grand, calculated move to unmask a monster. This brings us to a fascinating fork in the road regarding Hudson's true allegiance. Let us explore scenario A. Could it be that Hudson is actually operating as a rogue, deep-cover agent whose sole psychological motive is to bring this hidden villain to justice? In this scenario, Hudson's relentless pursuit of Ethan is not born out of malice, but out of a desperate, urgent need to secure that DNA sample before the villain realizes they are being hunted. If this is true, it implies that Hudson might eventually have to reveal his true identity to local authorities to gain their assistance, leading to a massive, unforeseen fallout that rocks the local law enforcement to its core. The tension here relies on Hudson racing against the clock to piece together the genetic puzzle before the villain strikes first. On the flip side, we must consider scenario B. It looks like there is a very real possibility that Hudson is actually working directly for the hidden villain. Or perhaps he is the villain himself, operating under a masterful disguise. If you ask me, this would be a brilliant psychological twist. In this scenario, Hudson's goal is not to expose the truth, but to ruthlessly eradicate the DNA sample and permanently silence Ethan to ensure the villain's identity remains buried forever. This implies a much darker trajectory where Ethan is in imminent, lethal danger, and the shattered trust will ripple through the town as residents realize a predator has been walking among them. The implications of scenario B suggest a terrifying game of cat and mouse where the hunter is actually the ultimate prey. Now, let us pivot to the shocking news that Jason is allegedly leaving the mob and turning his back on Sonny. Ladies, do we honestly believe that Jason would simply walk away from his lifelong loyalty without a profound underlying reason? If you ask me, this entire separation is a highly calculated move. Jason is likely staging this massive falling out to convince the town and, more importantly, a hidden enemy that he is completely detached from the organization. This implies that Jason is secretly embarking on a dangerous, solitary investigation into a massive conspiracy that threatens Sonny's entire empire. Jason knows that if he remains by Sonny's side, the enemy will stay in the shadows. By making himself appear vulnerable and estranged, Jason is baiting the trap. Breaking this down, let us look at scenario A for this mob dynamic. Could it be that Sonny is completely unaware of Jason's true psychological motive? In this scenario, the confrontation between the two men will be genuinely explosive. We are talking about a heartbreaking display of shattered trust, where Sonny feels utterly betrayed and lashes out with his signature fury. However, this implies that Jason must absorb the emotional blows and maintain his cover, sacrificing his relationship with Sonny to protect him from an unseen threat. The unforeseen fallout here would be devastating, as Sonny might retaliate or replace Jason with someone untrustworthy, completely unaware that Jason is silently dismantling the enemy from the outside. Conversely, let us examine scenario B. It looks like there is a strong chance that Sunny and Jason are actually in on this together from the very beginning. If you ask me, they might stage a highly public, volatile argument behind closed doors or even in a crowded room to sell the narrative to any listening ears or watching eyes. This would be a masterful, calculated move by both men, utilizing their history of loyalty to create the ultimate deception. This implies that while the town whispers about the end of an era, Jason and Sunny are secretly coordinating their strikes. The psychological motive here is pure protection, relying on their unbreakable bond to outsmart a threat that thinks it has successfully divided and conquered the most powerful duo in town. Shifting gears to the corporate drama, Serena's arrival at Deception is not just a simple favor to Lucy. If you ask me, Serena is about to uncover a massive web of internal manipulation and severe financial fraud. But instead of immediately launching a confrontational assault against Brooklyn, Serena will likely execute a calculated move. I predict she will secretly team up with Michael to investigate the true mastermind behind the embezzlement. This implies that Brooklyn, who has been fiercely defensive, will suddenly realize she has been suspecting the wrong person all along. The psychological motive for Serena keeping her investigation hidden is to catch the real culprit red-handed. The unforeseen fallout will be a shocking alliance between Serena and Michael, leaving Brooklyn to grapple with her shattered trust in whoever is truly sabotaging the company from within. Now, let us discuss the incredibly murky waters surrounding Drew and his supposed accident at the pool. The initial breadcrumbs suggest that Nina pushed him, while Trina and Kai are busy aiming their suspicions at Willow. But, ladies, if you ask me, this entire narrative is a brilliant misdirection. Could it be that Drew was never attacked at all? It looks like Drew might have intentionally staged his own accident, throwing himself into the pool to create a chaotic diversion. This implies a massive ulterior motive. Drew is desperately trying to distract everyone from a much darker, far more dangerous secret he is harboring. By framing the situation this way, Nina becomes the perfect, tragic scapegoat, and Trina and Kai fall directly into a logical trap, completely missing the real threat that Drew is actively concealing. The impending trial for Curtis is also poised for a massive upheaval with the return of Marshall. On the surface, Marshall is just coming back to support his family. But if you ask me, Marshall is carrying a heavy, long-buried family secret. This implies that his return is a highly calculated move to be booked to as a piece of explosive testimony or hidden evidence that will completely derail the prosecution's case. However, this unforeseen fallout will not come without a severe price. The revelation of this secret will likely force Curtis to question everything he thought he knew about his family's legacy. The psychological motive for Marshall keeping this hidden for so long will undoubtedly lead to shattered trust between father and son, proving that sometimes the truth is far more damaging than the lies. We also have to look closely at Britt's romantic trajectory with Jason. If you think Britt is just going to sit back, accept Jason's departure, and wallow in loneliness, you do not know her character at all. It looks like Britt will channel her heartbreak into a relentless investigation into the real reason behind Jason's sudden lifestyle change. This implies that her sharp intellect will quickly uncover Jason's secret, dangerous mission. Once she discovers the truth, Britt will be faced with a monumental psychological dilemma. Could it be that she must choose between walking away to preserve her own safety, or diving headfirst into the perilous underworld to fight alongside the man she loves? If you ask me, Britt's ultimate decision will define her future, leading to unforeseen fallout that could either solidify their bond or result in a tragic permanent separation. Furthermore, the teenage drama is acting as a massive smokescreen for a much more sinister plot. Everyone believes that Charlotte is acting out of pure jealousy regarding Gio and Emma. But if you ask me, Charlotte's romantic angst is a highly calculated move. It looks like she has quickly realized that Gio is completely irrelevant to her true goals. This implies that Charlotte is using her feigned jealousy as a psychological cover to get dangerously close to Emma. Why? Because Emma is unknowingly holding a crucial piece of information or a hidden item that multiple dangerous people are desperate to acquire. When the truth finally surfaces, the unforeseen fallout will drag both innocent Emma and oblivious Gio directly into the crosshairs of a massive, lethal conspiracy, proving that this was never about young love at all. Finally, we must address Quinn's highly anticipated apology to Trina, which was orchestrated by Kai. If you ask me, Quinn is not just going to offer a simple apology. It looks like Quinn is about to drop a massive, earth-shattering confession regarding what he truly knows about Drew and the staged pool incident. This implies that Quinn has been sitting on explosive information that completely exonerates the current suspects and points the finger at a much larger conspiracy. The psychological motive behind Quinn's confession will trigger a massive awakening for Kai. The unforeseen fallout here is that Kai will realize his deductive reasoning was entirely manipulated, leading to a profound sense of shattered trust in his own judgment and setting the stage for a desperate scramble to uncover the real truth before it is too late. In conclusion, as we look at the week ahead, it is abundantly clear that the writers are weaving a highly intricate web of deception where no character is truly safe. If you ask me, the fates of these individuals are hanging by a very thin, fraying thread. Will Jason's calculated move destroy his bond with Sunny forever? Will Britt survive the dangerous truth she uncovers? Will Serena and Michael expose the corporate rot before deception crumbles? And will Emma survive the deadly secrets she unknowingly possesses? I am highly skeptical that any of these storylines will wrap up neatly with a bow. Instead, it looks like we are heading straight into a season of brutal betrayals and devastating revelations. Keep your eyes peeled, ladies, because the real psychological warfare is only just beginning, and not everyone is going to make it out unscathed.